I disappeared for 3 months and learned English from my bedroom. Yes, you heard right. And it was the best decision I have ever made in my entire life. I got 3 things done properly within these 3 months, and I got an amazing English from nothing. So hi, I'm Jabber. I struggled to learn English in my school. I studied grammar books and rules and textbooks for hours and hours every single day. But in return, I got nothing. I couldn't speak English. I couldn't understand English. Let me share with you an anecdote from my school. When I was in the school, I joined a conference. It was an international conference where all the international speakers and scholars from different countries were invited, and they all spoke in English. And I sat on the middle of this conference, and I was listening to them, to the speakers. And I looked around and I observed that everybody was understanding their English, but I couldn't understand a single sentence. I was really confused because I knew all the rules and vocabularies. I learned tons of vocabularies and rules, grammar rules, but yet I couldn't understand what they were saying. So it was the problem, definitely the problem. Then I decided to talk to this experience to my teachers, and I talked to them and I told them about this experience, and they advised me the same old-fashioned and traditional advice: learn vocabularies and memorize rules that you can understand English. So I was young. I thought that their advice was valuable and true. So I did again. I did memorize all the rules and vocabularies. Yet the result is the same. I couldn't understand English yet. Well, when nothing was happening, I got frustrated and disappointed. I couldn't speak English yet, despite all the efforts I had given. So I decided to change 3 things, and that was the turning point of my learning English success. The first one is my mindset. I changed my mind. I ignored all of my teachers' advices and what they were told to me to do. It's memorize rules and vocabularies, but I ignored them, and I started to read books on how to learn a new language. I was fortunate enough that I found a book called Principle and Practice in Second Language Acquisition by Stephen Crossan, where he discussed his method. Comprehensible input means understandable input. Input means something we put inside through listening, reading, and watching. So he told that in his book that you have to input, you have to listen, read, and watch understandable input in something that you understand. So, and he mentioned 6 secrets of learning a new language. So the first one is the understandable. It should be understandable. Whatever you listen, read, or watch, it should be understandable, easy and slow English. Whatever the level of your English right now, you need to make sure that you are understanding the speaker, or when you listen or read or watch, you need to make sure that you are understanding what the speaker are saying. You don't need to understand 100%, but you need to understand overall or over the moral meaning of the sentence or speaking or speech. Secret number 2, you should listen, read, or watch communicative and meaningful English. Something that meaningful. For example, you listen to podcast, and you don't need to focus on the English aspect of this podcast. You should focus on the meaning, the value this podcast is providing to you. For example, you can understand you are listening to a podcast about self-improvement or anything like that is interesting to you, that is meaningful to you, and very communicative English, real life communicative English. So secret number 3 is interesting, relevant, and familiar in English. Listen, read, watch English that is interesting to you, familiar with you, or relevant to you. something interesting. You need to ask question when you listen to podcast or reading books or watching anything in English. You should ask yourself that is it interesting to me or not? Because if the English you're listening is not interesting to you, then you will quit soon because it's not interesting, it's boring. So choose interesting or relevant familiar English to listen, read, and watch. Secret number 4, no grammar, no force, no correction at all. You don't need to correct yourself. Never correct yourself. Just make mistakes and speak and learn and read and listen. Just listen, read, watch, and speak without any correction. That's the mistake we do in school. Don't correct yourself, no grammar pressure, nothing at all. Just listen and enjoy English and absorb into the English, listening, reading, and watching. Just do it for fun. Secret number 5, don't force yourself to speak English early. Never. It was the turning point for me because I was always tried to speak English early without any input. Then he said, you have to go through a silent period of 6 months of silent periods, then you can try to speak English later. First, you have to go through these 6 months. Just within these 6 months, just listen, read, and watch. But another fact I'd like to share with you is that the more you spend time in English, the more quickly you learn. It could be 3 months for you, it could be 2 months for you. If you binge into English for 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, if you spend 16, 17 hours a day only in English, then you learn English quickly. So it exactly happened to me. So don't force yourself to speak English early. Rather, just go through these 6 months of silent period. Just listen, read, and watch as much as you can. Secret number 6, input sufficient amount of English. He clearly defined that spend 70% of your time in listening English, 20% of time in reading, 20% of time in speaking, and 10% in reading and writing. He stated that you need 720 hours of comprehensible real English input without any prior knowledge in English. You are absolute beginner, and if you spend 720 hours in listening, reading, and watching English, then you will acquire this English language within this time frame, within this hour, 720 hours later. So an exotic language like Arabic, Mandarin, Arabic language, or other very difficult and intricate languages require 2,000 plus hours, but for speaking English, you need just only 720 hours. This is spent in listening, reading, and watching. Make sure that you follow these 6 secrets of learning English. First, I changed my mindset, and then I changed my actions. Before that, I didn't even listen to anything. I just would read and memorize the vocabularies and read textbooks. That's it. But then I changed my approach. I changed my action. I replaced all these reading, grammar books, tools, lyrics, everything into listening to podcasts. I listened to podcast every single day, and also listened to real English conversations and communications. So it was great and amazing. It was also free on YouTube, and it was the free resource to me. On Spotify, you'll find infinite amount of podcasts in English. I also changed my reading habits. I would read textbooks, which was super boring. Now I changed into pleasure reading. I read books for pleasure, for fun. I read storybooks for fun. Also, I read a self-help book to improve myself. These all reading components was interesting to me. The most important change was studying speaking English, practicing speaking English. How? I applied two methods. One is the shadowing, the other one is TPS technique. Shadowing means I just copied, imitated the English speaker, just imitating, copying what they are saying, what the English speaker is saying. When, for example, you listen to podcast and you're just mimicking them, you're mimicking what they're saying. And TPS technique is something you express the meaning of you listening. For example, I'm hungry. You say I'm hungry with out loud as well as you express it through your body movement. I'm hungry. It is painful. Understand? This is called TPS technique. So combine shadowing and TPS technique in your practicing speaking English. So you'll get amazing result. The last change I made was the writing. I started to build writing habits. How? I start to write mini essays. Mini essays are just find a topic and then write whatever the thought or thinking come into your mind. Just write it down. No matter the mistake, don't focus on the mistakes. Just focus on your thought. Okay. Third change was the goal setting. I changed my goal. Before that, I had a goal for exam to perform, but now I wanted to go more deep than this shallow goal. So I tried to find out what is the big why for me, why I want to learn English, why I want to speak English. For me, I was suffering in low self-esteem and self-worth, also social awkwardness. So I tried to eliminate all of these problems with replacing with developing myself. So, but I had no resources at all to improve myself. So now I have the vast infinite of access of personal development. I can read books on business, philosophy, psychology, metaphysics, physics, and a lot more other areas of the personal development sector. So it's a fascinating journey. It is fascinating feeling to me right now because I had the big why. I said the big why for me, why I want to learn English, why I want to speak English. Now I can meet with people internationally. I also can travel. I can network people. So that is amazing. Now I also can perform Duolingo test, IELTS, TOEFL. These are amazing feeling to me right now because I set this big why for me when I started learning English. So change your goal first. When you find your big why, then you need to set up your system, your daily routine. For me, morning was the golden time to listen or learn English. So every single day I woke up and then started to listen podcast, whatever the podcast I want to listen. So I did this for every single day. So I got an amazing result because morning time has no distraction at all. In the morning time has no distraction. So try it out. The morning is the golden time for me. And also for creative learning with sharp mind, no distraction, nothing. Then finally, to practice meditation, I want to suggest you to practice meditation every single day. Meditation will help you to clear your thoughts and eliminate all the destructive thoughts every single day. And you'll feel peaceful. And when you become more calm inside, then you can dedicate your time to something meaningful and very creative and powerful. So try it out. So finally, what are the actions you can take today? The first one, find a big why you want to learn English, why you want to speak English. Then comprehensible input, then try comprehensible input. Stable presence method, comprehensible input, understandable input. Listen, read, and watch understandable English. Okay. So third action you can take today is be patient and learn English every single day. Practice English every single day. So good luck for it.